So why sign an artist that would promote that?
Because I already answered that question. You weren't paying attention. Talent or issues? And I said talent. It's opportunistic. I got people to feed. I got a business to run.
Have you ever heard the term a nigga wake up call?
Oh, brother. Joe Biden insulted you. You ain't really black. You don't know whether or not you want to vote for me or vote for Donald Trump.
A problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump. And you ain't black.
That should have been a wake-up call on your part.
You totally didn't acknowledge my question.
I want us to have perspective and talk about what's important, but you won't do that.
You mentioned black-on-black crime.
It's a huge problem.
That every 28 hours, an unarmed black person is killed.
Means it's less than 2% of the total, Lamont. 7,000 black people killed every year. Less than 2% are killed by police officers in an unarmed way.
So from the words of one of the best superhero movies ever.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
With that being said, when I think about the so-called black leaders or the black public figures who have the pulse of the black community, you know, I think about the Charlemagne the Gods. I think about, let's say, Angela Rye, Mark Lamont Hill. You talk about the old heads like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. My problem with them is, and obviously, I don't know any of them personally, so it's not necessarily a personal problem. But my gripe with them is whenever I hear them talking about issues, they're never getting to the crux of the issue, of the real issues that plague the black community. Instead, they would rather babble on and promote this narrative that police brutality and systematic racism and reparations and all of these things are the reasons as to why the black community can't get ahead. Because when I look at the evidence, when I look at what's taking place within the black community every day, since I can remember, all of those things that they touch on is not the real issue when it comes to the progression of the black community. How is systematic racism holding black people back? And I'm talking about today, here in 2024. I get it that there are a lot of unfair acts that were taking place back in the day or whatnot. But tell me, in 2024, where do you see systematic racism? Because from my point of view, I see black people getting into colleges left and right. I see black people getting hired for jobs left and right. I don't see a lot of unfair treatment taking place within the workforce when it comes to blacks. I'm seeing blacks get jobs over the Chinese, the whites, and Indians, what have you.
Of the homicides in this country, half of them are black victims, almost all killed by other blacks. How do you explain that if it isn't for the absence of fathers? Are you prepared to say black people are just genetically inclined to commit more crime? I doubt it. And the go-to reaction often is poverty and systemic racism. Here's the problem. 1940, when there was blatant racism. This is before Brown versus Board of Education, before the Civil Rights Act of 64. KKK was still alive and well. 87% of blacks lived under the poverty line. Now it's about 14%. You can't blame it on poverty. You can't blame it on racism. It is the breakdown of the nuclear intact family, and neither side is talking about it.
If your statistics are right, what are the reasons that you think fathers aren't in the home?
As I said, it's because in the mid-'60s, Lyndon Johnson launched what he called the War on Poverty. And Charlemagne, literally, they sent social workers door to door in the inner city. I remember this, advising women of the availability of welfare provided there was no man in the house. It created an economic incentive for women to marry the government. Same thing with whites. In 1965, 8% of whites entered the world without a father in the home married to the mother. Now it's about 25%, also up threefold. Look at census data, 1910, 1920, 1930, in places like Milwaukee, Chicago, Philadelphia, a young black kid was slightly more likely to be brought into a world with a father in the home married to the mother than a young white kid. We have incentivized this kind of bad behavior, and it's had a disproportionately bad effect on the black community.
Let me ask you a question. What do white people do wrong?
This is the only majority white country that's ever elected a black president, let alone re-elected a black president. The three biggest cities in America are New York, Chicago, LA. They all have black mayors, even though no city has a majority of black population. The president of Harvard is a black female. Martin Luther King in 1966, Charlemagne, gave an interview to the BBC. This is 2 years after the Civil Rights Act of 64 got passed. And he said, I'm amazed at how many positive changes there have been in America in the last 2 years. Why, if things keep going like this, we could have a black president in about 40 years' time. Do the math. Right on cue, Barack Obama elected 2008. He didn't say there'll be a black female president of Harvard, and there has been. He didn't say there are going to be black CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and there have been several. He didn't say the percentage of the House would equal the percentage of black people in the population, and it does. He didn't say the three largest cities would have black mayors, and they do. He didn't say the largest and most prestigious organization of doctors, the American Medical Association, would have two black presidents, and there have been. He didn't say the most prestigious organization of lawyers, the American Bar Association would have 2 black presidents, and they have. He said president, meaning at that point, I can feel that I've reached the mountaintop, which is the speech he gave right before he got assassinated the day before. And now we act as if Barack Obama never even got elected. And we're still talking about systemic racism. It's not fair. It's wrong. And you're discouraging black people from working hard.
And then you talk about police brutality. Okay, sure, there are exceptions. But for you to push this message as if police are taking brutal force with black people on a regular basis and gunning down black people in the streets on a regular basis, when you look at the research, that's just completely not true.
You think the problem of unarmed black people is a major problem in America, and I don't.
There are 2 issues here. You mentioned black-on-black crime. You say that that's a problem. I agree with you that it's a problem.
It's a huge problem. A massive problem.
Every 28 hours, an unarmed black person is killed. Then that also is a problem. Is it as big a problem
as this other issue? That means it's less than 2% of the total, Lamont. Less than 2% of the total. 7,000 black people killed every year. Less than 2% are killed by police officers in an unarmed way. So why don't we talk about the 98%? And many of these murders in Chicago are unsolved.
First of all, we do talk about what happened in Chicago. CNN did a whole special in Chicago. We talk about Chicago violence every week. I write about Chicago. I'm physically in Chicago.
What are we doing about it? What are we doing about it?
Think about reparations, this reparations argument. All right, fine. Given what took place in the past, yeah, I agree. I think that black people should have received reparations. But, yeah, how long are we going to continue to sing this song? Instead of saying that, oh, that's what's going to fix the black community. And granted, when I think about, and this isn't just relegated to black people because a lot of people did this, but nonetheless, it's still true that when I think about this past pandemic and with the stimulus packages that was given out, how many black people took that money and was lined up outside the Gucci store, the Louis store, buying Jordans, this, that, and the third. In the pandemic, where couldn't nobody even be outside to see it. So how is that going to fix the black community?
There's a collective guilt that's asking individuals to recompense, and you are not your ancestors.
I'm a descendant of those ancestors.
I know, but you've got a lot of money, so you say you should get more.
Should I get more? I should definitely get a check. But if it's to the point where, you know what, you make too much money, we don't think you deserve it, cool, give it to somebody who needs it. America, just treat black people like they're F-35 fighter jets. Throw it at the people who actually built this country.
You didn't build this country. We can't write a check to a ghost.
Why not?
The truth is, what they really should be talking about is how black people are not holding themselves accountable, is how there are a lack of black fathers in the household, is how there's this promotion of promiscuity, how there's this promotion of black men to degrade black women. Think about all of the rap songs that the kids are listening to today. You should be promoting family structure within the black community, not continuing to promote all of this bullshit music like drill music, ratchet music that these kids are learning before they can even read and write. Hell, before they can even talk clearly. They're learning all of these ratchet ass songs and they're learning how to load a. That's what the problem is. There's no guidance. And fine, you're not their fathers, you're not their mothers, but at the same time, what is the message that you are continuing to push? And sure, we all have a job to do, right? We all got bills to pay, but okay, at the cost of what? Because my thing is, if you're gonna stand up and call yourself someone who actually cares about the youth, you care about the progression of the black community, you care about the generations that are coming ahead, that are coming after us, why do you continue to promote the very thing that's tearing the community down? Because I don't see any white people in the black neighborhoods terrorizing the community. I don't see no white people doing that. I remember watching this interview where Charlemagne was talking to, I believe it was, I forget the record exec's name, if he's even a record exec, whatever he is. It was a while ago when I saw the interview, so excuse me for forgetting his name. He signs these artists who push this negative message to the black community.
So why sign an artist that would promote that?
Because I already answered that question. You weren't paying attention. She asked me talent or issues, and I said talent. But I have to I can't give up on people.
But I'm saying that's hypocritical, though. You're saying
It's opportunistic.
Yeah.
I got people to feed. I got a business to run.
You're gonna.
I don't know what to tell you.
How is that right there not a wake-up call for somebody like Charlemagne? Even Joe Biden coming on the show and telling him that you ain't black if you don't vote Democrat.
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
How is that not a wake-up call to you that these people have an agenda and that you are essentially helping to continue push the agenda? Because instead of promoting hard work, perseverance, self-accountability, self-respect, instead of pushing that, no, you would rather continue to push this idea that we need handouts, that we need government assistance. And another thing is, how can you call yourself being a Democrat and continuing to push this notion that black people are behind the 8 ball and that they need all of this help, when you yourself, and I'm talking about all of the people that I mentioned before and more, all of the so-called black leaders, the public figures, the ones who who have a pulse on the black community, who have the ears of the black community. How do you not explain, given the fact that you grew up the same way that all of us did, right? You grew up in the slums and the ghettos and you had to get it out the mud. Instead of explaining how you did it, you would rather continue to push this narrative that it's hard for us to make something better of ourselves. Okay, so then what makes you so special? That's what I would like to know. What makes you so special? To all of those people who try and say, oh, poor black people because we don't have reparations and because of systematic racism, this, that, and the third, how come it didn't hold you back? Man, you got to explain that. How come it didn't hold you back? Are most black people just dumb and they don't know how to do what you did? They don't have the capacity to think for themselves? Instead of promoting black scholars, black intellectuals like Thomas Sowell, like Roland Fryer, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Malcolm Gladwell, and these are all intellectuals, black intellectuals that are still living today. They are the ones who can be role models. I was just watching this documentary of and I'm sorry to be all over the place, but it's just coming to me off the fly. But I remember the other day watching this documentary about King Von, and I saw how LeBron James was actually promoting King Von's music. He was working out to King Von's music. What type of message did King Von push before his demise, RP? Because I hate seeing all of that. But what type of message did he push to the youth? It was about murdering, period. It was about being a murderer. And that is what a lot of the liberals, black liberals, are okay with. That's the message that they're okay with pushing. It just bakes my noodle, man. I can't understand it for the life of me. And mind you, I had left-leaning thoughts myself growing up as a black man because, like we all did, we were automatically supposed to vote Democrat if you voted at all, because our parents did what? They automatically voted Democrat, so we thought that we should. Voting Democrat is for the poor. Your mama on welfare, your daddy got to leave when the caseworker comes to see the house and all that kind of shit. Come on, man. You went through that too, but yet you made it out. Push what you did. Talk about that. Talk about the people who made it out of the slums. Start telling the truth, man. Stop hiding it. Because are you really about the black community or are you about your bottom line? I don't care about pandering to the audience and whatnot, because we have young black brothers and sisters out here killing each other. Nobody else is killing them. Don't give me that bullshit about the police. That's not happening on a regular basis. It's not. Stop promoting the bullshit. It's young black men killing each other. It's young black women lacking self-respect. Come on, man. You got the power to tell these people the truth and to help people wake up. Because all that woke is an oxymoron. Come on, man.
So don't tell me you ain't got it or you can't do something. Yeah, everybody spitting, but they ain't saying nothing. I'm just trying to make a difference, give you something to think about. I ain't worried about a status or some goddamn clout. If you see me in the streets, don't be afraid to shout 'em out. But I'm out.